With all the work that you have done training your dog and traveling to a hunt test, shouldn't you do everything possible to walk away with a qualifying score? While these 10 tips may not guarantee you a qualifying score, doing these things is always appreciated by the judges, and not doing some of them may send you home early. Although there are some minor differences, these same tips apply whether you are running AKC or HRC Hunt tests. Tip number 1. Know the rules. Both AKC and HRC have detailed rule books that explain most aspects of running a hunt test and what is required of dogs and handlers. At a minimum, read the sections related to the stake you are running. While judges don't mind answering questions, you should know the basic requirements of the test prior to running. Not knowing the rules shows the judges that you really didn't do the work to prepare for the test. While some judges may cut you some slack here, others aren't so forgiving. Tip number 2. Dress appropriately. In AKC tests, the rulebook states handlers should wear dark or customary hunting attire. At AKC tests, especially, you will see this rule often ignored by handlers, often by those that should know better. It doesn't mean that it goes unnoticed. AKC judges hate to send handlers back to their vehicles to put on appropriate clothing, but many will. It's a matter of respecting the rules of the game, so do yourself a favor and dress appropriately. In HRC, you should wear head-to-toe camouflage, and unlike AKC judges, HRC judges have no issue enforcing those requirements. Good luck even getting to the line with so much as a non-camouflage hat. Don't make them call you out. You don't have to like it, but those are the rules. Tip number 3. Be on time. Be on time for both the handler's briefing and when it is your turn to run. When running multiple dogs, it can sometimes be hard to be present for the judge's briefing and test dog, but make every effort. It only slows down the test if the judges have to explain the test individually to you when you could have been there. More importantly, make sure you check in with the marshal or program director at the beginning of the day and are ready to run when it's your turn in the running order. Nobody likes waiting for a handler to make a grand entrance. Think of it this way. If judges have to wait, it gives them more time to sharpen their pencils. So, you may want to do your best to manage your day. Tip number 4. Handle the gun properly. In AKC tests, this is one of the most ignored or misunderstood requirements. Watching an AKC test, probably 90% of the handlers do not shoulder the gun correctly. If you do not handle it correctly, the judges have every justification to drop you from the test, although most won't go to that extreme. If you shoulder correctly, the judges will notice that effort. Handle the gun as if it were a real loaded gun. 2 hands on the gun, shouldering it while the bird is in the air, as if shooting it at the top of the arc. Real guns with popper blanks are used in HRC tests, so there is no tolerance for incorrect or dangerous gun handling. In fact, HRC judges are required to give a gun safety overview before each and every series. Gun violations will get you either a warning or get you dismissed for the entire day based on the severity of the violation. If you are unfamiliar with a real shotgun, make sure that you get instruction before the test. Tip number 5. Handle to the bird. Whether on a blind retrieve or a mark, where you needed to handle, always handle your dog all the way to the bird. Do not just get your dog to the general area and let it hunt the bird. Letting your dog hunt at the end of a blind or handle demonstrates lack of control, and most judges will penalize you heavily for it, up to the point of elimination. Always remember, the end of the blind or handled mark is just as important as the beginning and the middle. Tip number 6. Challenge the blind. When judges design a blind for their test, they have a specific line to the blind in mind, which most often incorporates factors such as terrain, cover changes, water, and points of land. The line you are running from is point A. The bird is at point B. The judges want you to keep the dog on that line, within a reasonable corridor. This dog took a poor initial line, but the handler was able to get it back reasonably aligned to the blind until it got to the bird. If your dog gets offline, bring it back, align to the bird quickly. Do not let the dog continue to take a bad line. That would be considered cheating the blind. Failure to challenge a blind will almost certainly get you dropped. Tip number 7. Get on with it. It's not a training session. When coming to the line for a mark or a walk-up, just get there. These handlers demonstrate a good pace. Watching a handler do a wedding march with 40 heel commands is not only irritating to judges, it could get you dropped. The same goes for lining the dog up for blinds. While the time at the line is certainly yours, there are limits to what is expected of the dog and the handler. Tip number 8. Always check with the honor dog. Judges and fellow handlers appreciate the handler in the working position checking with the handler of the honor dog before calling for the first bird. It benefits both handlers as it better ensures that both are ready. While doing this may not make you pass, failing to do this could interrupt your run if the honor dog breaks, sending you back to the holding blinds. Judges appreciate the respect that you give others. Tip number 9. Own it. Dogs do dog things, and they choose the most inopportune times to do them. If your dog doesn't perform up to par in that series or test, just own it. Especially if the performance is still good enough to get to the next series. Don't blame the test setup, the judges, the gallery, the weather, you name it. Don't blame the countless other things that judges hear all the time. The most frequent phrase a judge hears from struggling handlers is, "My dog never does this in training." That may be so, but just own the performance and start preparing for the next series or next test. Tip number 10. Say thanks. Club members and judges give up a significant amount of time to put on these tests. Tests are a 100% volunteer effort. Without the clubs, the judges, the workers, and volunteers, these tests would not happen. Somewhere along the way, try to thank not just the judges, but all of those people for giving back to the sport and making these tests possible.